So I feel right now like I should be singing a song from The Midnight Cowboy. If you don't know what that is, I suggest you look at the great classic film of the 1960s. There's a great song in it. Everybody's talking at me. I don't hear what they're saying. I'm hearing that right now from a lot of people and a lot of situations. If you don't know who I am, I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer. I used to write for a place called Pathos. For 10 years, a column called No Longer Quivering that dealt with the evangelical world, the quiverful world, these non-denominational churches that are just kind of making it up as they go along. Hey, Christine, you got here just in time. You got here just in time. I salute you. There are a lot of people hopefully coming in. Hey, Autistic Shill. Hey, good to see you too. So, I was thinking about this the other day that there are some people in the community that they're like howler monkeys. I'm just going to call them out for what they are. They're howler monkeys. The other day, my husband was washing the car, okay? And he went under our big mango tree. Hey, Marla, I'm Maria. I'm sorry, I can't read today. So my husband was washing the car under the mango tree. And the monkey troop, the entire howler monkey troop is right above him. And they know when I'm out, I'm usually slow moving and not making noise. They usually only howl at noise, but the other day they were howling at him, not making any noise, but washing the car, and they were flinging mangoes at him, throwing them down on top of him. Well, he's just minding his own business and going along, He's doing all that, and they're just, I think that kind of describes the internet world too. A lot of people on Twitter or X, as they're calling it now, and some of the other communities, some of the Reddits, some of the, I can't even think of the one that everybody does that I don't do. There are a couple of them, but there are a bunch of them. All of this is going on right now. It's just crazy. People flinging their mangoes down. I took down a number of videos yesterday because of I had a howler monkey. I had a howler monkey, a human howler monkey. Rumble. Yeah. Well, it's not a rumble, Christine. I took them down because I want to go back over the videos and make sure there's nothing in there that is quite like the person is claiming. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go through this week and probably put them all right back up. So there is so much going on right now. And I gave Steve McRae the comments of this howler monkey to read tonight on his channel because I am not doing it. I don't believe in provoking howler monkeys in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I went out there and told my husband, it's like, can you not move the car over there and wash it? Don't wash it right under the monkeys. They hate that crap. They hate when we're bugging them. And I don't know what they found threatening about the car washing because normally, as long as you're not making racket, they're fine. They even let me get very close to my camera sometimes. Shoot, one of them comes to the sewing room window when he sees me in there just to look in, and he comes right up to the window, looks at the cat, and then looks at me. So we're human zoo. So the last couple of weeks on social media, it's kind of been like a human zoo from everything I'm seeing. And I did a video yesterday that has been pulled so I can go over it, where I said that I was tapping out of certain things like the anti-Katie Joy community. I'm pretty much done. And yesterday marked the end of it. Not just talking about her the least as possible. And I'm only going to be talking about her now when there's legal paperwork or there's some kind of legal something or other, because the case with 7M fascinates me for all the wrong reasons. It's one of those cases where I don't know for sure who I want to win because both sides I think are equally bad. Yeah, I said it. So one of the things that happened yesterday is I saw somebody on Reddit that refused to admit that when Llama Girl does her videos and does the clips, they're upset that Llama Girl puts a watermark on her video clips. And they were just ranting and raving about that and saying they didn't understand it. They didn't know why. And I made the mistake of trying to explain to them why. And they didn't like that. They said, well, I still don't understand why. I said, well, she's doing it because all these other people are taking her clips, pretending they clipped it, and then watermarking it with their own stuff and using it in a monetary fashion, using it for clicks and coins, because that's what people do when they're not very nice and they don't credit other creators. That kind of blows my mind. So I'm done, except for there are a few people I think really highly of in the anti-KJ community. Ronell Smith, Southern Mutton. They both do very respectful videos, I think, in a lot of ways of KJ. Sometimes Ronell gets heated, but I think she's so nice that everybody just um, goes with it, just lets her go with it. Hey, love my grands. It has been quite the 24 hours here. So I'm done. I'm really done, except for the lawsuit. And that, like I said, I'm leaning a little bit towards I want to see KJ lose, but I'm not entirely sure that's it. Renelle is very passionate. Yes, she is. She is. And she brings up things that people don't always think of when they're doing these things. And again, Llama Girl puts those watermarks on her clips because people were using them and not crediting her, and they were pretending they were their own. And that's just never cool at all. There are a couple people that share the legal documents, and most of us that will look at that stuff and use it will say, hey, I got this from XYZ, rather than say, hey, I pulled this up all by myself, because most of us don't. I'm just going to be real honest there. And there have been times that I've shared things that have ended up elsewhere under somebody else's not watermark, but somebody else's materials, instead of saying, hey, I heard this on Suzanne's channel, or I saw this at Suzanne's channel. Especially stuff about the Duggars. That kind of blows my mind, that was the stuff that somebody took from me and was using for their own benefit. And I guess I don't have to tell you who, because this is somebody that took my entire life story. So there you go. And there are a lot of things that are more important right now than the internet and than the YouTube channels. For example, my husband is having health issues. We have to go to San Jose probably next week to have more testing done. I hope it's not as bad of a diagnosis as I fear. But when you have things like that going on, you really can't focus on this stuff because it just doesn't make any sense. You're looking at this going, why did I even engage in that? Everybody's talking at me. So there you go. Well, when Steve shares the screen caps that I took yesterday on he's going to do that on his channel tonight. I don't know if I'll be on or not. I was on last night with Steve and was talking a little bit about this nonsense, but there's so much stuff going on right now in the various communities with all kinds of people that I may be there for all I know. I may be there, but I'm of the opinion that some of these people that are the worst, the best we can do is just ignore them and let them do themselves in. Because that's one thing I have learned through the years is if you give people enough rope, they will eventually hang themselves, just like they'll eventually show you who they are. If you have somebody that you think might be a toxic person in your life, and I'm talking about anywhere in your life, your work situation, your family, your friend group, if you have somebody that is a bad person, is making you feel bad about yourself or other people, or trying to interfere in your relationships, just sit back and watch. Everybody eventually shows you exactly who they are. And when that happens, a lot of times the best thing you do is just let them go. I had a relationship, oh, must have been more than 20 years ago, with someone that was gaslighting the you know what out of me. It was gaslighting the snot out of me when I was towards the end of my time with my old church. And this was not somebody in the church. Her whole shtick was, because I'd studied art in college, her whole shtick was to tell me that people that get married after they've studied art, instead of becoming a starving artist, have betrayed art. And she was just relentlessly pounding on this. And this was a theme that she returned to all the time, started telling me all the time, hey, you're not a true artist because you betrayed art. You ran off to get married and have kids instead of living the life of a starving artist in your garret in Paris. Well, that was always my fantasy life when I was 12, but not the reality of life when you get older at all. But it took me a long time to see that this person was gaslighting the hell out of me. And when it did, it was when it struck, it was just evil. So I ended up losing the friendship anyway, before I even figured out the gaslighting, because another friend of mine had lost his wife, and we were both talking to him, and she was thinking, hey, I'm going to poach this guy. She'd never been married, and she was in her 40s. She thought she was going to put the moves on this guy, and it didn't quite work out that way. She's gone now. She had cancer and died, but it was a very eye-opening experience for me. If you have somebody in your life that is telling you that you've done something really wrong and they've done it perfectly, and they're trying to make you feel bad over that, guess what? You have run across a gaslighter. And you have to ask yourself why they're doing that. There are people that will do these things and send you threats and all kinds of stuff. And you have to look at what the motivation is. What does the person hope to accomplish? I realized eventually this woman wanted me make me doubt myself. She wanted to make me feel bad about myself, and she accomplished that pretty handily. But I also had to realize that the stuff she said was just complete and utter bunk. It was stupidity, if there ever was anything like that. Now, that was what was interesting about my relationship with Katie Joy. She didn't actually gaslight me. We talked a lot. What she did was take things I told her in confidence and use them as content, even though I told her right up front they were just speculations that were going on in the online community. She used that as actual fodder, and people believed her because she screams, I have all these contacts. I have so many contacts, and all my contacts are telling me this. No, she's just coming up with random stupidity, random gossip. And you can, if you want to look for Duggar gossip, it's definitely there. And anybody who has any kind of slight, I don't want to say fame because I hate that word. Anybody that has any slight out in this world, let's put it that way, there's going to be somebody that doesn't like them, and there's always going to be somebody making stuff up every single time. I don't care if you are somebody who is writing and you have 10 regular followers, or somebody who is a famous megastar. You're going to get those hits. It's going to come in, people are going to say all kinds of nonsense. I've said before, that's why I started Jerks for Jesus, so I could put all my nonsensers there. And the person that tried to blackmail me, threaten me yesterday, is going to go there. All of her threats are going to go there. And I'm probably going to award her the Troll of the Year awards because it was just so incredibly awful, the things that were being said and claimed. And I know a lot of it was utterly false. So we have to be very careful in this community, because I have seen so many falsehoods being pushed as reality. And it's just not so. So I just wanted to go ahead and update you guys again today as to why I pulled out about 10 videos, because I'm going to watch them. I'm going to re-upload the ones that have nothing in them. The other ones I'm going to edit. I'm probably going to put some type of circus music every time this person's name gets mentioned. But I may not. I may just cut the whole segment and see. That is the crazy thing about doing all this, is how many people are. Christine, your lips to God's ear, because that happens. It's strange that every time without a box of Kleenex is involved in a lawsuit, a troll will come out. And I believe that may be the reality of this. This may be another paid troll for all I know. It just seemed odd that this person just popped up out of nowhere, making claims about being part of one of the religious groups that KJ covers. Yeah, it happens every single time. Every single time. Does anybody remember Nat? Nat happened during the Tati Westbrook lawsuit. And yeah, we were talking last night, Steve McCrae and I, about Nat, because I know a ton of people that contacted the West Mercia Police Department to say they had been harassed, stalked, whatever by Nat. I contacted them too. Some kind of very nice person I talked to, but I haven't heard a damn thing. None of us have. Was there an arrest made? What was the deal? So we have these people that pop up every time one of these lawsuits happens. And it's suspicious too that every time one of these lawsuits happens, Shifa has a falling out. She has a falling out with one of her moderators, and the moderator runs to the opposing counsel and gives them a bunch of nonsense, and then turns around and retracts it. That's what I find really fascinating. What kind of blackmail material or emotional pressure must be exerted in these situations? I don't know if anyone remembers during the Tati Westbrook thing, we had the Julie Gagny came out and gave her statement. Not just her, but what was that woman's name? Another one. She came and gave one and then retracted it. I can't remember what her name was. I want to say Lisa, but I'm not sure it's a name or not. Or was it Lori? Lori, that was it. Lori something. Yes, Lori came out and gave a statement and then later retracted it and sat on this other person's panel and just ripped Mr. Saltz, ripped everybody on the other side. And you're looking at this going, why did you give a statement? What was the purpose? So we've seen this happen a couple times. And right now there's some drama going on with the former mod. So I'm seeing the same behaviors, the same everything that we have every single time there's one of these things going on. Same people, not same people, but the same type of people. Moderators going rogue. Statements being given. And we all remember the 3 people she had that were helping her with the 7M, and they all had different weird handles on Instagram. I think one of them was like Cult Yucky. One of those has flipped and has given Robert Shin a statement of support. The other 2, I think, are still trying to defend her. Someone needs to bring this nonsense to Amber Stavig. Is that who the mod that's saying this stuff now about her? Because I did see there was one of her mods that she had a falling out with. Oh, that's right. I should know that. I think she already knows. But this is a pattern. This is a bizarre pattern. And we're seeing everything going to pattern. When you have somebody show up in the community and immediately cheese off the OGs, something is going on. And I think that maybe something like that is going on. And this person emerged in the wake of shiny, happy people. Shiny, happy people seems to have triggered so many people. It triggered me. I had a rough time with it. My daughter watched it and didn't have a rough time, but I was sitting there kind of like twisting my hands the entire time I was watching it, just very upset. And I have seen some crazy stuff come out where people who I've never heard from before come out of the woodwork claiming to be former IFB, IBLP, I'm sorry. And so it's not these claims are not one lone person. There's a pile of people that are doing that. And I have to wonder why. I have to look at the lawsuit and think that it has something to do with that. This is all a distraction. When this stuff goes down, it's just like when the animals get brought out and the child gets brought out. It's a distraction. It's like pay no attention to the man behind the curtain in the Wizard of Oz when the Wizard of Oz is what's revealed to be this little devilish guy. This little devilish nerdy guy was great and powerful Oz. I think that we are being distracted. I think this is all still ongoing distraction. And the kindest thing we can do is not give the distractors any kind of attention whatsoever. Let them just flounder and do their thing and just look as foolish as they're going to look. And we're kind of like, ho hum. That's the only thing that's going to shut them up at this point. I mean, does anybody know what happened to Nat? Supposedly, she was told to get offline and couldn't have any kind of devices to connect, not even a smartphone. But I find it really suspicious that she was just cut off and nothing more happened. Nothing more happened, even though Mr. Saltz, God bless him and his family, they got death threats, and they were probably from that particular troll. So this new troll, we're just going to ignore because it doesn't make any sense to get that agitated over a troll. Steve can fight the troll. I thought they were charges, but I haven't heard anything. Christine, I think that the FBI investigated, but because she is in another country, their hands are kind of tied. It has to start with, I'm guessing, where she is in the UK. Because anytime you want to get somebody in trouble or you want to have a legal fight with them, the best bet is to file in their jurisdiction. So I could be wrong. And my understanding of that police station is not a very big place, and they're not unlimited investigators. It's not like we contacted MI5 or MI6. It's just a small station. So I'm not too terribly surprised we've seen and heard nothing more. But at the same time, I was hoping for once we would get some kind of justice. I guess it just shows that there's no justice. There's just us, which is unfortunate. Very unfortunate. So what happens from here? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen from here? Yes, she'd be a small fish to fry. Now, they do have better things to do, Christine. I'm sure they do. And back in the years past, when I used to do scam baiting at one of the scam baiting sites, occasionally we would have Interpol involvement. Somebody would get Interpol involved, and everybody would give them their information they had and their investigation, and then Interpol would take it from there. So I'm used to seeing if there's something like that going on. I'm used to seeing Interpol jump in and do their thing. But with her, I think they're looking at this going, well, she's just a silly young girl. I'm sure that's what they're thinking. But I can tell you from my time in my evangelical world that sometimes the most innocent looking people are the most awful, the most awful, almost always, especially in some of these churches. Now, I don't know what's going to happen for me with church, if I'm ever going to go back at this point, or whether I'm just going to give up on it and do the totally online thing. But it's interesting, all the crap that goes on. And she can blame her issues on everyone else. KJ thinks that that's gotten her out of her lawsuit. She's gone too far. Autistic, I think that this time it's a bit different. I said when she first started messing with them that because of my experience, my years of dealing with non-denominational evangelical churches that are affiliated with some of the same places that 7M and Robert Shen are, I said, they don't back down. They don't take prisoners. They go all the way with their lawsuits. They have every reason in the world to want their reputation to be good. Even though I'm just going to say anybody connected with Bethel Redding is already, just by the connection, has already shown me they don't have morals. Bethel Redding, oh my word. When I was at my old church, and we hooked up with Bethel Redding and started doing all the teaching and healing prayer ministry that they were doing. And I was reading through the material, just absolutely horrified, because they blame people for their own illnesses many times. Example, the lady I knew that had MS, so came for us to heal her, to pray for her healing every week to the healing center I was affiliated with our old church. Every time we prayed for her, afterwards, somebody would say, she has demons on her, and that's why she's not getting healed. We have to pray it and pray that the demons don't come on us now. We have to pray a prayer of protection, a hedge. And we did that. I'm ashamed to say that I was participating in that at all. But when you're drinking the Kool-Aid, you do an awful lot of super strange things, which is one reason that the regular folk that get caught up in this entire situation, I actually have a little bit of empathy for, because not the trolls, but the ones that are following her and then get chewed out and thrown aside, like Sue Elliott. But KJ thinks she can get away with the consequences of her actions. She doesn't get that the receipts out there are her own words from her own videos. Autistic, I know. She thinks there's no consequences. And she has been that way and arrogant like that since the first day I met her. I remember her talking about how great it was to have the Pathos lawyers behind her. And I kept saying, yes, but that's only if somebody plagiarizes your stuff, which does happen sometimes. And issues like that, it's not for them to take on anybody that claims that you're defaming them. All bets are off then. They may talk to you and say, hey, you need to remove this or put a disclaimer here, but they're not going to defend you when you go to court. You're going to have to hire another attorney. I remember one time they asked all of us to check our mortgages and to see if there was any way to put any kind of insurance on the house to keep it separate from any lawsuit that you had for that sort of thing. She's told so many lies that can be proven. Yeah, Christine, I know she has. The question is, I think the question right now is, will 7M take it all the way? And I think they will. I don't think they're interested in settling at all. Even though she plagiarizes everybody else. Yep. She is one of the big reasons why I've held my book back. I don't want her reading it. I don't want her taking the stories. I don't want any of that. Between that and my own bodily my own bodily conniption fits where I tore my bicep and ended up with a concussion and stuff the last time I flew. And that has really put me behind the 8 ball on a lot of things I have to finish up. It's just now gotten where I can consistently use my hand and my arm without it flaking out. Now I have carpal tunnel in my left. So yay. But when you have somebody that's plagiarizing everything you say and do, and I'm not going to do an audiobook on it because that is the only thing she looks at as audiobooks. The judge would like them to settle. Tabitha Jane mentioned that from her attendance at the latest court date. Yeah, I saw that. But I don't think Robert Shen wants to settle. I guess she has to drag out the animals because of the sad fishing with her son isn't working. The animals are sad fishing that she does too. When people get fed up with her sad fishing over the sun, the poor animals get brought out. And I just have to say this, since I'm talking on the subject, which I normally would not. You know, I didn't realize she has like 5 cats in that house. They're all indoor cats and 2 dogs. For the life of me, I can't understand that. You know, I have 2 cats and they're indoor, outdoor. We have cat doors. And it's still a lot to clean up after 2 cats. It just is. I'm always having to clean up after them. There's hair, there's smells, there's them getting into things. You've got to clean down where they eat all the time because they're not as neat as we are. And occasionally you'll have something happen, like some cat barfing up a hairball. Those things got to be dealt with immediately. And they were 2 cats. They're quite a bit. So I can imagine having that much. I think, Maria, that it must be awful. And since, especially with cat boxes, it's really easy to go nose blind to a cat box. When you have 5 cats and the videos that you show, you only have 1 cat box, they're saying you should have at least 1 for each cat. And that's been my experience as well. And she doesn't go nose blind to all that stuff. I was thinking about that just the other day because we're in the middle of rainy season here, and it started a little more intense a little earlier. And my bedroom, oh my gosh. The other day I walked into here from being outside, and the fumes just about knocked me over. I could smell a little moldy smell, a little funky, sweaty smell, like sweat socks, like man sweat socks. I got to tell you, I tore this place apart and scrubbed everything, burned candles, used all kinds of good essential oil cleansers to make it smell better, and am running the air conditioner on humidifier and humidifier. I'm running humidifiers in here trying to get all the smell out. And I'm thinking about that. And my room was pretty clean. Pretty clean. It was just the dampness was causing this. So I think about that all the time. Hey, player, I think about that. Yeah, and I think about that too, Christine. You said it's not good for a son to have that many animals. He's got asthma. And let me tell you, having asthma in a dirty house is never a good thing. And, you know, for me, I get so sick with it sometimes that it's just like go crawl up in the bed. So I try to keep the housework on top of it all the time. And it's only when my oxygen levels tank to like 92 that I will stop doing what I got to do and lay down. I have 2 dogs and 2 boys, 2 and 4, and I can barely keep up with the housework. That's how it is when they're little. I turn around and they've destroyed something. That is so true. Having kids is like that. And you kind of have to let go of that for a while when your kids are little. Unless they have some kind of serious health situation that would be impacted by that. God knows I've had to give up that in the past too, particularly when my kids were that age and I had a business that I was working 90 hours a week. So we weren't getting as much housework done as I would have liked. So I think about that poor child in that kind of house with all the cat hair, all the dog hair, the litter fumes, all of those things. Because you can't mess around with that when you got asthma. When you react to something, you react. Like right now, you can hear I'm all choked up. I had a giant bottle of detergent flip over in the laundry room, and half of it ended up on the floor. Thankfully, I have concreto floors with a tile on them, so it was a matter of just sopping it up and mopping. But I still smell it, and I'm still kind of choked up. So I'm fearful for him. When I tried to watch her, she's always pulling cat hair out of her mouth. Yes, Christine. Absolutely. She's always pulling cat hair out of her mouth. I don't get that. I brush my cats. I pet them. I make sure that everybody is groomed. They go in and out all the time. So there are times when I actually have to wipe them down because they come in with mud or something on them. And we're not having that. We're not having that in this household. I like my stuff to stay clean. So she needs, and she's making the kind of money where she could have somebody come in twice a week to scrub that place. And I would certainly do it if I had that, if I were pulling in that kind of money. It's like here, I could easily have somebody come in here and clean every single day. It's not a problem. The problem for me is with the asthma, I can only clean with certain things, and there are all these prohibitions. So I just do it myself. The only time I hire people is when something special needs doing, windows, air conditioner units, that sort of thing, not for the everyday in and out. So I don't know what it's going to take, but I'm afraid for her son, just because if I know what it's like with the asthma, and I don't know what steps she's taken to mitigate that. They probably only come once and not want to come back. Christine, that may be why she doesn't have routine people coming to clean the house. Like I said, I would do it here, and it's cheaper and easier to have it done here than it would be in the States. A lot cheaper. There are people here who clean your house for as low as like $3 an hour. One of the issues here that stops me from doing this is all the petty thievery. And I was talking about yesterday, Thursday, we went to Liberia, which is a city about an hour away. It's a pretty major city. It's the number 2 biggest city in Costa Rica. There's all kinds of shopping. There's even some American companies there. And we laugh at one corner we call Gringo Corners, because on all 4 corners is American fast food. And then there's the KFC down the street. So it's fully Americanized, and it's where we all go to shop. There's a Price Mart, which is the same thing as a Costco. You can buy your Kirkland brand items there. So that's where we were going. And I told my husband, I said, we have to stop at the Do It Center. That's the other place you go if you need American things. It's on the way to Liberia. Let's stop at the Do It Center. I needed an item that I've seen there. So I went into the Do It Center. And when I travel, I always have I don't have it anywhere near me. I'll show you. It's a bag that's made out of fabric selvage strips from when I'm doing quilting. And I have like zippered pouches like this, okay? I have zippered pouches. I probably have 6 of them in there. One of them has got a portable nebulizer. One is full of EpiPens. So there's all these different things like that in there. And I usually have a notebook and for having a shopping list, a book if I'm reading a book, stuff like that. I don't keep anything of any value in there. Somebody went through my car last year and went through my medicine bag and took my bottle. I keep my 3 little Valium in there for asthma attack, panic attacks afterwards. And they took everything that was in pill form. So now I have that in little pill boxes in my purse. So there's nothing in that bag. So I ran into the Do It Center, which is this huge warehouse that's full of crap from the US. Everything from super glue and contact paper all the way to building supplies and some furniture. So we go in there a lot. And I'm always laughing because I see Cajun injector, crawfish boilers, and all kinds of things there. So we went in there, and I didn't lock the car for some reason. I don't know if it slipped my mind or what. The only thing in there besides the empty shopping bags was my bag full of medicines and treatments, and my shopping list and my notebook and all of that, just little nonsense. I came out and I told my husband, I said, look at here. The bag was completely open, and every single little pouch was opened. All the zippers were open. Whoever it was, they went in there, they unzipped each pouch. We're like, dang, EpiPen, dang, portable nebulizer, and dang, this thing. I have another one of those too. Dang, oxygen level measurer. So I had all the stupid stuff I must have to take care of my asthma when I'm traveling. So they were going through that. But that's what I mean by petty crime here. There's a lot of that stuff that goes on, and I have been lucky. I haven't had many things missing, just a sweater, an umbrella, and my wedding ring, if you can believe that. So for me, that is a consideration here, but that's not a consideration in the States. You can hire bonded, licensed individuals there to come clean your house where they don't haul off everything you own, even though they may occasionally pocket the small item. Everything else is pretty much safe. Or you can even stand over them and watch them do it if you're really anal and really worried they're going to steal. So I don't get it. I don't get it. There's so much about the situation there that I just do not get. And when I first met her, I was relatively empathetic, sympathetic, because I remember when my daughter was in the thick of her problems, being just overwhelmed at times, being so overwhelmed to the point and hitting burnout, where I would have done anything just to have a week to do nothing. I sometimes reach that here too, but here it's a little easier to deal with than it is there. Here I can say, hey, let's go to Lake Arnold for the week. We've got a friend that has a hotel there. Let's go to Lake Arnold. Let's stay at the lodge and let's stay overlooking the waterfalls. Let's have ourselves a pause. I couldn't do that when my daughter was little. My son was little too at the same time. So I had empathy for her because of the fact that I know what that's like. And I know what it's like to reach extreme burnout. I know what it's like to think I never want to sit in a hospital again. I never want to have to bring anybody for a medical test. I never want to see my child cry again because of a medical test they're doing to them that's not pleasant, like a bone marrow draw, something like that. You get to where you're just at the bottom. You can't give anymore. You're having a super burnout. You need a respite care. You need somebody to take the child for respite, or for you to go away and your spouse to keep them and not have to do anything for a weekend, a week. But you don't make that into a way of life. You don't enthrone that thing. You take your pause and then you pick up your burdens and you do what you got to do. You do what you have to do as a woman in our age right now. You have to. So that's my rant about all that. I just wish things were different on everybody's level. I would give a lot to not ever have heard her name, to have ever had anything to do with her, to remain completely in the dark about the anti-KJ community, because there are a lot of people who act just like KJ, are part of the community. Not everyone, but there are a lot. There are a lot of good people too. And it's hard sometimes to differentiate between one or the other, because you will see some that you think at first are good, and then as time goes on, you're watching how they navigate the things they say to other people. When you see them not allowing anybody any independent thought, any independent action, and you're like, no, you have to walk lockstep with me. If we're not completely in sync 100% of the time, you got to go. When you see people like that, run, because nobody is going to agree with everybody 100% of the time. You know, that was one of the things for me that was interesting the other night watching the Republican debate. I'm going to talk politics for a second. I am neither Republican or Democrat. I'm just going to throw that out there. I vote for whoever I think is the best. I've voted all over the political spectrum through the years. I'm all about people being helped. And I mean, healthcare, feeding the hungry, that sort of thing. To me, those are priorities, taking care of your citizens. So it was an interesting experience watching the debate. Now, I watched it with my husband. At the end, we both came away with completely different impressions. I thought that was kind of comical. And guess what? That's okay. We're two separate people, two separate beings. But like in the KJ community, you can't do the anti-KJ. You have to be in lockstep conformity with everybody else, or they're going to say that you are not right. And that's a sad and horrible thing for them to say that, not allow you the space to be who you are. I think that's one of the diseases of this whole community. And I tend to be drawn to the people in the community that are having the most fun, even though I don't always agree with them. Bobby the Cat, Mocking Media, Aaron, EKC People suck. The other day down the rabbit hole of bedtime posted something really funny about this whole troll situation. And I laughed so hard. And she really showed it for the total absurdity that it is. And those are the people that I love that. To me, that's the best. Life is hard enough. Why are you going to make it harder for somebody else? And that's the other thing about the whole anti-KJ community and KJ herself. I have no genuine desire to harm her. I do have a genuine desire to see her held accountable for a lot of stuff she's done. See her held accountable. And I tell you, when I finally do publish my book, if somebody does anything more than commentary on it, and what I mean by commentary is the laws on commentary are pretty clear. If you're going to read a piece of writing, okay, or quote it or whatever, you could safely get away. Yeah, 1,000%. You could safely get away with between 250 and 300 words. That was what I was taught at Pathos for commentary. So that's what commentary is. You pick out the toxicity, the little pieces that are just crazy or wonderful, whichever one, whether you come to pillory or praise, and you go over those bits. That's what I did for all those really awful Doug Wilson books, including the one about the sex robot where he kept talking about women looking like they'd been hit in the face with a brick, kissable lips. And it was like, oh, no, because he really sums up things in the most horrible, offensive way possible that I couldn't let it pass when I was doing reviews. But I had to keep the rule in place that 250, 300 words, and remember that is the only way to do commentary. So if you see somebody that's just 100% playing other people's videos without any actual commentary on them, or they are reading huge amounts and whole chapters, that's not commentary. That's not commentary at all. That is not commentary. Commentary is more like stuff that Aaron does. Steve McRae does that. There are some others that do it too. I particularly enjoy Renelle Smith, like I said. And she sometimes will phrase things in such a way as I'm not going to do it because I'm trying to keep away from the fickle finger of YouTube fate. I mean, and that's where that is. Plus, I don't really like myself when I go in those spaces and I'm using all those swear words. For me, it's a line that should not be crossed. Now, I know that's funny because I love the Righteous Gemstones, and the F word comes out of the mouth. Every other word seems for Judy Gemstone, who is my spirit animal, sometimes says things I'm thinking that I would never say out loud. So there you go. You have a little glimpse into my dirty mind. I just want to see this thing end. I said yesterday on Steve's live stream that I had dreamed about KJ for the first time. And it's true. I dreamed about her, and it was the weirdest thing. I had dreamed about her. Somehow she had heard that I thought that the anti-community has gone too far so many times. Okay. And they're just like her. And she was coming up to me and going, oh, yeah, like it's wonderful again, like we're friends. And she started her BS with me, her usual BS that she used to just gossip about everybody. And I was kind of like, talk to the hand. You're not a friend of mine. Please don't speak to me. I was rough on her. I have a feeling that Christine, I believe it will too. And I'm kind of counting on it. I'm thinking it may bankrupt somebody there. And I'm not talking about it bankrupting Robert Shin. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Mike Bankrupt, the other side. As much as I would probably laugh if I saw her living under a interstate overpass in a refrigerator box, her husband and child do not deserve that. They do not deserve that at all. Her, well, that's a little bit of a different story. So we have to see what happens with this whole thing. But I have a feeling it's going to drag on forever. I just, unless she continues to drag her feet and the judge just gets so fed up, which might happen, that they say, okay, summary judgment for the plaintiff. I can see that happening. And I think she's come very close to that a number of times, as far as I can tell. I have to wonder how much she's paying her lawyer. She doesn't seem to be competent. Well, let's just put it this way. The law firm that is representing her is known more for things like wills and investments and real estate transactions, not this stuff. And this is something I'm going through because I've been looking for just the right attorney to sue the airline for what they did to me. And I've talked to a lot of attorneys in the last month or so. And I haven't chosen anyone because I don't want just a guy who does traffic accidents, okay? I want somebody that specializes in ADA violations. I want somebody that knows their way around that world, that has successfully sued an airline. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for any of these call Dewey, stab him and how. I'm not looking for anyone who advertises on TV. I wonder whatever happened to her team. What team? I know she claims she has 3 employees, but I don't see it. I don't see it at all. She tends to conflate everything. So I think the team thing is a conflation. Why she would conflate it? I guess it's the royal we. You know how the royals are, we are not amused or whatever. I think that's what it is. Her team of staff. Yeah. That would be something else. Cupbearer, bring me my vino, Jester, make me laugh. That's kind of what I think of with you start saying that kind of stuff and you start using the royal we. That's when I start going, yeah, we're going off the rails here. This is not rooted in any sort of reality, not rooted in reality whatsoever. And that's sad. Everybody loses out when you're delusional. Everybody in your life loses out. Let me say that. Everybody in your life loses out because they have to make sure that your version of what you think reality is takes place. And that is effing exhausting. Speaking of effing exhausting, I am going to have to go. My throat, my voice is going. This is not a good asthma time for me because of the extreme rain we're having right now. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. Love you guys. Have a great weekend. Prairie, exactly. Christine, countless times. She recently claimed it. She recently claimed it again. And she doesn't have a clue. If I wanted to tell her, I could give her a good idea, but I have no desire to help her whatsoever. I know it sounds mean and unforgiving, but it's just where I am in my walk with everything. Okay? Love you guys.